Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. So now we're on movie 2 in the Cutler series, Secrets of the Morning. Alphia is going to join me again for this discussion. Please subscribe to her channel if you enjoy movie reviews and funny skits. And also, please subscribe to my channel as well so you don't miss out on our hot tea collaborations. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. So the second Cutler movie opens up with Dawn arriving at the Sarah Bernhardt School for Performing Arts in New York. Dawn will be staying at a house owned by Agnes Morris, a serious thespian, played by Fran Drescher. Agnes has been told by Grandmother Cutler that Dawn is a problematic brat, so she will be putting her on probation and keeping a close eye on her to make sure she doesn't act up. Dawn's roommate is a super friendly dancer named Trisha Kramer, who kinda looks like Kimmy Gibbler. They immediately hit it off. Trisha's icebreaker is that she has her daddy wrapped around her little finger and loves musicians like James Taylor and Gordon Lightfoot. Dawn's icebreaker is that she knows about movies and music. And oh yeah, she was kidnapped. Okay, she doesn't come right out and say the part about being kidnapped, but she kinda hints at dark secrets, and Trisha is a nosy little... So Dawn fesses up on that first day. The girls at the school are all swooning over the fact that Broadway singer Michael Sutton will be teaching during the fall semester. Dawn has no idea who that is because Dawn doesn't know. Clara Jean and the fam come to New York for a cruise one night. Trisha meets the evil sister of her roommate and teaches Clara Jean the ultimate lesson. She may be a big fish where she's from, but here in New York, she's just a small fry. An Emerson Peabody choir girl? Seriously? Dawn got accepted into a well-respected school for performers based solely on her grandmother's connections under threat of reputational ruin. Now that's real talent. The visiting Cutler family invites Dawn to join them for dinner, not because they enjoy her company, but most likely because they want her to always remember she will never escape their clutches, even while attending a school several states away. Let's just say the dinner doesn't go well. Dawn finds out her favorite chambermaid was fired, and this makes her mad enough to threaten to expose family secrets. Of course, Mother Laura is not at all about that, but Dawn, like the honey badger, doesn't really give a if this conversation makes her mother feel like she's walking on the shattered glass of propriety. Dawn wants to know the name of her real father, but apparently her father is a Dark Lord because his name will not be uttered. Jimmy comes to New York for a visit, and he and Dawn spend the day together catching up. Now that he's 18, the foster care system doesn't care what happens to him, so he's going to join the army. Dawn isn't thrilled at the idea of her beloved brother signing up as a human target, but what can she do? It was the 70s. The worst part of this bad news is that now Dawn has to get into an awkward conversation with Trish about it. She never told her new friend about this mystery non-sibling named Jimmy, who's kinda like the butter substitute of family relations. I can't believe he's not my brother. Agnes is listening in on the other side of the door, learning all of Dawn's sordid secrets. Dawn and Trish audition for Michael Sutton's class. He only has 12 spaces available. Michael is played by Joey McIntyre. Dawn admits to her friend that he's a good-looking guy. Wait until she sees old videos of him performing with New Kids on the Block back in the 80s and 90s. Dawn wows everyone with her boring rendition of Amazing Grace. It's pure audio-enhanced gold. Milli Vanilli would be jealous. When selecting his 12 students, Sutton does it like American Idol, making the 3 rejects step forward. So, did only 15 people audition? They made it seem like he was going to be axing people left and right. All of that build-up, only to eliminate 3 people? Well, in that case, ho-hum, Dawn makes the cut. And to add to the momentous occasion, Jimmy shows up in his army uniform and takes Dawn to a classy hotel. Glad they kept this scene from the book. Probably the best scene in the whole novel. We get some kissing, but Jimmy's a sensitive guy and tells Dawn they should wait before they do anything more than that. By the way, he's shipping out to Europe in the morning, so that also makes him a martyr. They fall asleep in each other's arms. What did they expect would happen when they decided to get a room? And when Dawn is suddenly startled awake, she finds out it's super late. If it was an episode of Full House, it might be awkward, but not bad. However, she has to go home and deal with that super extra Agnes. Luckily, even though she's home at 3 in the morning and Agnes knows it was because she was sleeping in the arms of her brother, the owner of the house decides to be generous and give her one more shot. Just perfect for a girl about to be seduced and impregnated by her music teacher. When said music teacher abandons her for England, Dawn is heartbroken, but then, quite predictably, starts to hallucinate his image in front of her, which leads to her walking out into traffic. Dawn survives, and so does the baby. And it was about time that Grandmother Cutler learned the truth anyway. Who better to inform her than a random doctor? So Dawn is removed from school and sent to the meadows to be cared for by Grandmother Cutler's nutty sister, Emily Booth. And if you thought Grandmother Cutler was bad, well, wait until you meet Miss Emily. Dawn stays at the meadows until she gives birth to baby Christy, and then Jimmy swoops in like a white knight to save her. But by this point, Christy has been given away to another couple. The arrangements were made ahead of time by Lillian. As they're leaving, Jimmy informs Dawn that, oh, by the way, Dad's remarried and has another son. So here are my thoughts. I think this was a decent follow-up to the first movie. As someone who read the book long ago and can't remember it well, I think it did a satisfactory job following the key plot points. I can't think of any significant changes off the top of my head. I love that Fran Drescher played Agnes. I didn't watch The Nanny in the 90s. I wasn't really a fan of hers as a kid, but I like her spunk. I'm kind of surprised they had a man in his late 40s, early 50s play Michael Sutton. I would have thought he would have been younger, like in his late 20s, early 30s. I can't see a 17-year-old being enamored with a 50-year-old man, famous or not, but then maybe that's just me. Lots of young women go for much older guys. I've never understood it, but yeah, he's absolutely nasty for going after a girl who's not yet 18 and is also his student. When she gets pregnant, he pretends at first that he's going to support her, and then abruptly hops a plane without a goodbye, leaving her to find out he skipped town from her friend Tricia and from his landlord. It's nice that we don't have to deal with much of Clara Jean in the sequel. She sucks. I think Jimmy's really sweet, but seriously, Dawn falls out of love with Philip quickly after finding out he's her blood brother, and yet Jimmy, who she's been raised alongside of as a sibling since she was a baby, is fair game. I know he's not really blood related to her, but usually it's harder to fall out of love with a blood relation you didn't know was your blood relation than to start up with someone who was raised for years as your brother but turns out to be not related to you at all. But this is V.C. Andrews land, where people don't adopt or kidnap other people's babies simply to grow a family for themselves, but rather to raise suitable matches for their biological children. So what do you expect? Miss Emily is your typical V.C. Andrews villainous woman. She's got the fire and brimstone of grandmother Olivia Foxworth, ranting and raving about the devil's spawn and the sins of the father, and she works Dawn like a dog the way Kitty Dennison worked Heaven in the Castile series. She makes a decent antagonist, though eventually the women in the later books movies all begin to blur together for me. She does have this one quirk. She likes to put vinegar in everything, including oatmeal, because she says that it reminds you of the bitterness of life. And she doesn't believe in electricity. I don't know what religion Miss Emily follows, but she's not your typical devout Christian. She takes her dogma to a whole new level. Also at the Meadows are a male servant named Luther and a childlike woman named Charlotte, who carries around a doll and pretends it's her dead daughter. Charlotte is Emily and Lillian's younger sister. They had another sister named Eugenia, who was in a wheelchair and died before Charlotte was born. This is how Dawn got her birth name of Eugenia Cutler. When I first began reading this series way back in the late 90s, and I heard that Dawn's real father was a traveling singer, I felt sure it would be revealed that Michael Sutton was her biological father, because that would be a very V.C. Andrews twist. Turns out, I couldn't have been more wrong. Turns out the traveling singer father story was also a lie, and that Dawn's mother, Laura Jean, was actually impregnated by her father-in-law, Bill Cutler. Also a very V.C. Andrews style twist. But almost feels like an afterthought. Was it just a coincidence that Dawn was told the rumor that her father was a singer and Dawn just happened to have aspirations to be a famous singer? Or was the original intention for Dawn's father to actually be a traveling singer and then the ghostwriter changed his mind mid-series? Who knows? So anyway, Dawn is not just Philip's younger sister. She's also his aunt. And it's after the passing of Lillian at the end of this movie that an addendum to Bill Cutler's will is read, and Dawn learns the truth. She's inherited Cutler's Cove, or at least 60% of it. But all she wants is to get her baby back. So now the stage has been set for movie 3. I give this movie 4 out of 5 stars. I think if you're a fan of the book, you will find it entertaining, and if you're going into it blind, you at least have nothing to compare it to, and might find it even more enjoyable for that reason. What do you think, Alphia?
What's up? Thank you so much, Jennifer Woods, for letting me come onto your channel and talk about Dawn. This part 2 of the movie Dawn. Let's see, The Secrets of the Morning. So, how do I break this down? So Dawn gets sent to New York and she meets Tracy, her friend. And Tracy is not a mean girl, so congratulations to her officially being Dawn's friend. And of course, I'm so glad that we can talk about spoilers and we can talk about everything else. Agnes, and I'm a fan of Franny. So to see her in this role, it was kind of weird, because I'm gonna tell you why it was weird, because we didn't see that much of her character, Agnes. So I like the ending at the will reading. I like how Dawn got 60% of the hotel, and she finds out that the father, Randolph, is actually her brother. Now, stick with me now. Her mommy was bumping booties with her father-in-law. Can you imagine? You thinking your daddy is your daddy, but not your daddy like we learned in the first movie. And your real daddy is actually supposed to be your grandfather. That's nasty. Which is supposed to be which is your dad's father. Which is actually, so you and your dad that you thought was your dad, well, they all thought it was you. Well, you know what I mean. Oh, wow. So mama was bumping booties with son and well, basically Randolph was a son and the father was Randolph's dad. And her sister is upset. She's not a Cutler. Girl, go sit your happy you know what down, because girl, you mad because your sister. Okay, let's go. Let's back into it. So of course Jimmy joins the military. And I just want to shout out that Dawn's brother is creepy as hell. Her real blood brother is really well, he's not really. He's her nephew. Okay, he's her nephew. Okay, cool. So he's actually, well, no, he's her brother / nephew. Ew, that's nasty. Because her dad, Randolph, is her dad. I mean, I'm not her dad. Her brother, and that's his son. So that's her nephew / brother. That's, oh my God, what the hell oh my God. The nephew son, the nephew brother. Oh my God, that's gonna go down here. See, mama was getting jiggy with the grandfather. That's just nasty. I wanted to see I wish it would have showed what he looked like. I'm so glad that Lillian died. Yes. No R.I.P. to her, because we don't care. She deserves everything she did, and then gave that girl baby away. So she gets jiggy with her music teacher. And he lies to her. He don't even have no whole apartment he don't even have no apartment. He was leasing it with somebody else, and he was using their furniture. So they was getting busy on the old man's furniture. That's nasty. And he goes overseas and leaves her, tells her he wants to marry her and all kinds of stuff. He's gonna be here for the baby. He's so happy. He left. Poor thing. Dawn went through hell in the second movie. She went to go live with her aunt in the meadows, and her aunt was just crazy. And he tells them, repent. Girl, if you don't go sit your happy ass down, like, oh my God. And then her other aunt went crazy, I guess, because after her baby died. I wonder who was the baby daddy. Because, see, I wonder if the book go into details, because Dawn's aunt, they was crazy, and they didn't have no electricity. So Dawn was probably cooking at night, because it was hot probably in there, and they used candles, and it was just, oh my God. Yeah, Dawn went through a lot. I mean, like, it was probably hot as hell up in that house, because they didn't have no electricity. I'm gonna go ahead and say, why y'all don't have no electricity? I know y'all had money. And the grandmother had a stroke, and she went in the hospital trying to confront her about where her baby was at. I'm glad the lawyer told her. He said, you want to stay for the reading of the will? I was like, I just knew somebody just left for somebody, but she got 6% hotel. I would absolutely not. And she tells us she don't want it. Girl, hell yeah, I want that. I'm like, they're like pure hell, because I'm 60%, y'all 40%, baby. I'm going to show you what 60% do. Ha, ha, ha. Because what the hell? Can you imagine? Now it makes sense. And the grandma couldn't do nothing about it, because I bet you she knew. it makes sense why she did Don like that. So in the will reading, he was like, your grandfather fathered another child, and the mom got up before because he mentioned the name, and he couldn't even start the whole wheel because she's like, I have to go. I'm looking like, bruh, I said, I knew then. I was like, oh man, she got jiggy with the grandfather, and that's Don's dad. So he wasn't a musician. So you was bumping booties with daddy, Randolph's daddy? Like, bruh, I wonder, was he old? I mean, or did he look good at least? Because, baby, what the heck? Baby, what was Randolph not doing for you? Like, oh my God, like this got to be studied. I like how Tracy was there, or Trish or whatever her name was, there for Dawn while she was up in New York. And I wish that she would have just focused on her music, because she was really a good singer, because her sister can sing. She probably could sing. I didn't like how her sister was being mean to her. She probably could. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't even care. Yeah, Dawn had a lot going for herself. But, I mean, that still doesn't stop her journey. I'm glad that she's going to go look for her baby, and she's going to get her baby. Yes. But I want to also shout out where Dawn went to go live in the Meadows. That's one of the movies that they have, like, The Edge of the Garden and The Wedding Cottage. They use that same thing. A lot of Lifetime and Hallmark movies, they use, like, the same, like, houses. And that's why I was telling people, I think Lifetime and Hallmark are connected because... Yeah, but we're talking about Dawn. But either way, well, that's another review for another day. But I really enjoyed this one. I just didn't like how the lady was all mean to Dawn because she got pregnant out of wedlock. Like, oh my God, like, lady, go sit your happy you know what down. Like, oh my God, I really felt bad for Dawn. Dawn went through hell. And then she had her cleaning and stuff, and then she barely fed her. Like, girl, what? She told Dawn when Dawn and Jimmy said, Jimmy's like, we're leaving. She was like, well, it's like, where's my daughter or whatever. She's, well, I'm not a murderer. Girl, you could have fooled me. You was trying to kill her and the baby because Dawn baby was breech. She really did not care about Dawn. And it was just sad what Dawn had to go through. I'm ready to watch the rest of the movies to see what happens with Dawn and what happens with Jimmy, and to see what she's going to do about this hotel. Because, baby, I would seal 60%. I promise you, I'll be up in there having all dressed up cute. And I'll tell no cats and dogs just piss my mama off. And the mom said, well, we knew you were safe. Safe? I wasn't safe. I wasn't even getting fed. I was getting mistreated. She literally tried to run away, and it was pouring down raining while she was at the Meadows. And she just fell on the ground and just laid there. And she didn't care. She did not care. It was just like Dawn went through a lot. So I really do feel bad for her. But I hope you guys check out Dawn, and I hope you guys like VC Interest, because her books and movies are really, really good. But I wish that she could have got to see some of these movies. I think she only saw the first original Flowers in the Attic. And other than that, she didn't see nothing else because she passed. But yeah, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to Jennifer's channel. And of course, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Jennifer, for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Alphia. It was a pleasure to hear from you. Loved your review as always. Also interesting to hear, once again, from someone who hasn't read the book. Even though I don't remember that much from the book, I still remember some of it. I have a general idea of what was in the book. So that's it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. Next week we'll be back with Twilight's Child.